Hi guys, it's the UDOSENS here, Ugona and
Ini.
today we're going to go see a really special couple who wants to tell us about their story and their journey through faith.
We hope this story inspires you, so watch out. Bye-bye.
See you guys later.
When we got married, that's 2013, March 7, and officially March 9. And, as a new married couple, you are very, ready for, something great to happen, barely come out, looking forward to carry your first child out of the hospital. But in our own case, it took us 3 years, and we are looking forward to this desperately. And there was a time in which my wife just woke up to me and gave me the
pregnancy kit.
Yeah, pregnancy kit, and and she had been giving me this kit for 3 years and nothing happened. So this time around, when she was giving, I would just ask her, does it cross the line or not? If it doesn't cross the line, my friend, just put it somewhere. Let's just continue believing God. And she said, yeah, I'm pregnant. We are so happy, and I've been waiting for 3 years. I remember vividly somebody, when we told him that we are waiting for 3 years, said, just 3 years. That 3 years, you got 30 years, put 0 at the back.
It felt like a long time.
Yeah.
It felt longer than it actually was.
And so we're looking forward to start buying stuff. And I think she's 5 months. You're 5 months, isn't it?
Yeah, 5.5 months.
5.5 months. So I said, okay, let me quickly go on a mission. So every year as a ministry, we always go to Africa to go and be a blessing in training people in script writing, filmmaking, and all those stuff like that. I remember vividly that night, there is no light. So my phone battery is dead. And but I feel very, very uncomfortable. I'm not, there's something that is very strange that night. So I keep, Holy Spirit just, said I should be praying for my wife. So I keep praying for her, But, and I asked myself, I'm just praying for my wife. What about the baby inside? So I just pray. Because I've already trained in the morning, I was so tired. So I pray until I went to bed. And they brought light in the midnight. So I on the light. I charged my phone. I saw roughly 100 missed calls from different people. So I called my wife. She started crying. That she's very sorry. We have lost a child. I said, don't say sorry. It's not your fault. Everything will be fine. Trying to give her a kind of support that she needs, because I was not there physically. So the next thing I told her, I said, give that phone to your mom. Let me talk to your mom, because asking her for that question will lead to so many breakdowns. So I said, give the phone to your mom. So the mom narrated all the story and everything like that. So me trying to stick, put my faith into practice. I told her, take the phone to the dead body. So she took the phone to the dead body, and I pray. And nothing come out. Nothing happened.
We've all been in a position where we've put all our hope and faith into getting that one thing, and it just didn't pull through. Something we as a couple have been through.
Yeah.
Something we'll share in a different episode.
We can understand how Segun and Michelle are probably feeling. We found ourselves in positions where we've fasted, we've prayed, we've gone through all lengths to try and move the hand of God to do something for us, and it just didn't work out. It leaves you feeling confused, defeated, and really disappointed.
Previously, I've already prayed for my sister who is pregnant, and she passed on in her bath. And God answered the prayer, and I was just, without faith, because I've been in that position before, and I just said, okay, this one will come back to life without faith. But nothing happened. Then I feel like I was sponge. Something's wrong with me. Am I, at times you just ask yourself, have I committed some sin that make God not to listen to you anymore?
At that time, I felt so disappointed, and I felt like, God, why did you do this to me? How can you do this to me? I just felt like, God, after everything that we've been through, everything that has happened in life, why should this happen to me? I just felt so disappointed, honestly. I remember one time I just thought I felt like I wanted to die. I actually felt like I wanted to die. And it's not like I would have taken medication to kill myself or I would have taken a knife, but I just felt like I just wanted to die. Maybe to escape the situation, to escape what I felt was the shame. And obviously I was 5.5 months when I delivered the baby. So it's not even as if it was a stage where people wouldn't know you were pregnant. I found it extremely difficult because I know it wasn't his fault, but because he wasn't there. So it was so hard going through everything that we went through, and then for this to happen and for him not to be there. But I understood that, it was mission work. He went to do the work of God. But I just felt I was going through labour of a child that I knew wasn't going to make it. And it was so difficult because I felt at that point in time he needed to be there to understand my emotion, to understand how I was feeling. I felt as if there was no amount of phone calls that would express how I felt about it.
Going through a difficult situation on your own when your partner is not there can be very, very difficult. You just want the other person there to face whatever you're facing. And when they're there, you feel much stronger, you feel tougher.
Yeah, my wife and I, we spent 365 days apart unwillingly.
A year.
We saw each other on the 366th day, something we never planned for or imagined would happen to us.
So we completely understand what Michelle was feeling. No amount of phone calls can make up for the other person not being there.
True.
When I finally, get them back to London, I just said, let's travel. I don't want all this sympathy party and stuff like that. And, even though people are calling, so we just traveled to Morocco. I think, we traveled to Morocco and we just, I think we spent 1 week or 2 weeks. A week there. And just to get ourselves out of all these. And,
It was a change, definitely a needed change of scenery. But funnily enough, there were still nights where we will just think about it. There were times where I still cried. So even though we moved away physically, obviously we were still, still carrying hurt, still carrying a bit of sadness. But I think it was important because we were then together and we were sort of like away from, London or where it happened. So it was a nice sort of breath of fresh air. But at the same time, it was still painful. You can move wherever you like. What has happened has happened. After, we lost that first child, we found out we were pregnant again. And it's even funny how we found out. I think it was we found out 6 or 7 weeks later. Mm-hmm. And it was actually when we went to the hospital to speak to a consultant. He asked me, he said, have you had a period yet? So I said, not yet. I took a test and it came out positive, but it could just be the hormones because I carried the baby till such a late stage. So he sort of sent me downstairs to have a scan. So when we had a scan, the lady was like, look, there's a baby, and then she was the tiniest little thing, but there was definitely a baby there. So we sort of just looked at each other, and I don't know if you remember, the lady was like, aren't you happy?
Yeah.
And we were just like, of course we're happy, but you don't know the journey here. You don't know what has happened literally the past 7 weeks. So most people, when they find out the news that they're pregnant, they're ecstatic and they're jumping up and down. But we had just lost a baby, so to hear that we were pregnant again, of course it was brilliant news, but then again it was fear. And because we had lost the baby just so recently, to find out, it was just shock. It was like a double whammy. So the lady looked at us and she was just like, oh, aren't you happy? And we were just like, yeah, we are happy. But we're still grieving at the same time. And we're still so happy that God has blessed us. But I think there was more fear attached to it than surprise. More, like, okay, what do we do now? Like, we are not losing this baby.
When you've had your faith and hope up so high and had it crushed, it's really hard to get yourself on that level of 100% faith again because of that fear of having it happen once again, being disappointed once again.
The fear that comes is the fear of not losing another child.
Yeah.
And then everything that is just, running in my mind is that, God, you need to save this one. You need to allow this to stay. Because the first child is a male child. So the clothes is still there. Everything we have bought is still there. Try to tidy up the house and you can see it every day. Remind you. She passing through, she was emotional and physically drained in that period.
We just tried to, take in everything that was happening. Didn't, sort of like make a huge deal. We just thought, what, let's do our checks, let's be prayerful, and let's try and hold on to God. It wasn't smooth sailing, and I can't say throughout the whole process I had 100% faith. No, it was still literally holding on to God's garment. No, with our whole heart. So it wasn't, that we trusted 100%, but we had faith at least that God was going to see us through, even though we weren't 100%. There's a saying that says that, sometimes that God is so faithful that even in our unfaithfulness, he remains faithful. I think that was literally the case. Like, even though we had doubts and whatever, God still, he was still holding us and taking us through.
For me, after, I was pregnant, yes, cool. Now, my first step up of faith is to cross that 5 months. Yeah, okay. 2 months, okay. 3 months, okay. 4 months, okay.
5 months.
5 months, then that is when I said,
You can breathe a little bit.
5 months peak. Looking at the history of the last one.
Yeah.
So I said, okay.
We celebrated the small victories that we had, definitely.
So then that 5 months, then I said, okay, I think God, I've secured this one. More than 5 months. Let's look at the remaining months.
And it's funny because when we were going for those checkups, I think when you're like about 6 months, they say, okay, you don't need to be coming anymore. Because if you were, to deliver, there's a good chance that the baby, would survive. But I still had that fear in me. So I was like, oh no, I don't mind. I don't mind coming. I can still come. I don't work too far. So I think they were just like, okay, fine. So I'd go maybe every 4 weeks. Then afterwards, I think even I had that assurance that, no, do you know what? I think this one's gonna make it. Towards the latter end of my pregnancy, I started developing high blood pressure. So it's like I got mild preeclampsia. So I had a consultant appointment, and they decided that I was going to be induced. So even then, I wasn't too worried. I just felt like it's just something along the way. I just felt like the baby has made it past 5 months. That was my biggest joy. So anything else was just by the way. So we had to be induced. So I came into the hospital the next day, isn't it? And then I was induced. And then around 4 a.m., I think I called you, you and my mum, to say, oh, my waters have broken, start coming down to the hospital. So that was around 4 a.m. And then I laboured till about 4 p.m. or about 3 p.m., let me say, 3 p.m. In the afternoon. So it was about 12 hours. Yeah. And within that time, her heart rate started dipping a little bit. So then they decided on me having a C-section. And even then, I was just like, I'm not having a C-section.
Yeah, I remember she was telling me that this is not what God told us. This is not I want to.
It's not how I planned
I
it.
planned it and those stuff
And
like
I think
that.
I was reading that book, like Supernatural Birth.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I hadn't even, and funny enough, when the midwife came and I was doing my birthing plan, like a C-section hadn't even crossed my mind. As far as I was concerned, I was going to deliver like the Hebrew women. So I had no business reading up about C-sections. So when they kept mentioning C-section, I remember like even then when they were trying to prepare me for theatre, do you remember I looked at you and I was like, I'm not having a C-section.
Yeah.
But in the end, we had a C-section and she came out fine, beautiful, perfect, and you know, God spared my life, God spared the child's life. I think for anyone who's waiting, I mean, be it a child or there's something you're looking forward to and it feels like you're just there and at the last minute it's, you know, it's taken away from you, I think you just have to keep holding on. I know it's easier said than done. I know sometimes we talk about faith and, you know, we talk about, you know, running the race. The truth is sometimes it is hard and you may stop along the way. You may be discouraged. You may cry. You may be weary. But you have to find a way. You have to find a reason and pick yourself up and continue. It is so hard. I'm not saying it like it's easy because I've been there where I've just been so disappointed, and as I've said, where I've just felt like I just wanted to die and just not be healed, just not go through anything. But as long as we have breath and as long as we have life, there's still hope. You know, I just feel like the sun always comes out the next day, and you know, there's a saying that says like, you know, even 100 years is not forever. And I know it sounds like very daunting, like, oh, the thought of 100 years, but it's true, it is not forever. That you're feeling down today does not mean that you're always going to feel that way. And you have to hold on. And I think that's the thing about faith. You can't say that you have faith, or you can't say you're a Christian, or, you know, that you're someone who's a believer and you've had no test to prove that.
What I've learned so far in this journey of faith and fear, number one is that no matter what you are passing through, you know, that is a major problem. Try to refocus. Change your lens and refocus. You know, look at other things that you can do with your life at that season, that's the one that you really desire is not working. Trust me, those 3 years, you know,
we enjoyed ourselves whilst we were waiting.
While we are waiting. But two is that feed your faith with the word of God. Feed your faith with the right people's testimony. You know, feed your faith with books that, you know, she was talking about the book she was reading when she was pregnant. Third one is that face your fear. Just face it. Just face it. Whatever they say, it can't happen. You know, if he needs to get the last drop of you, face it. Let's see if God will not even come to your rescue. Like I tell people, David was not on the battlefield to come and fight. He was there to give his siblings food. But he knew that, okay, the fear that I've already terrorized everybody, let me just, you know, God is with me. I should be able. And even after the victory, they need to ask him that, oh, where are you from? The siblings there, they didn't ask him, what is your family name? They asked, where are you from? And they now said, oh, I'm from Jesse family. Nobody knows that family, you know, at that point in time. But the guy faces fear. And he said that if God can help me to kill the Goliath, to kill the lion, I said this time around, you that you are oppressing this country, you know, God will give me your head. And that's what happened. So you face your fear. And the last thing is just that you will still face a lot of challenges. You will still face a lot. So that's why your past testimony is very important. You know, there is no way you want to express testimony if there is no test.
I just wanted to add as well, something on faith, which I think is really important. I remember there was a point where I said to myself, I'm like, God, I'm still going to believe you and have faith, even if you decide not to give me children. Because whether I have children or not, the fact remains is that God is still God. I got to a place where I was just like, okay, God, even if you're not going to do it, help me to still have faith in you and to still trust you and understand that you are God.
Yes, you can get to some point in which you just, you know,
You're discouraged.
You're discouraged. Well, just pick yourself up back and just say that, like she have said, whether God do it or not, I'll say savvy.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed listening to Segun and Michelle's journey of faith and fear.
The reason we share this with you is because it's a personal journey we're also on too, the journey of faith and fear. And we just want you to know that many of us are going through this thing where we're waiting for something and it feels like once you're at the finish line, you're 10 steps back. But we want you to know that you're not going through this alone. We all are facing this. And we hope this story encourages you.
Yes, if you've been blessed, please don't forget to like, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and please share with your friends out there. We'll be sharing our stories and other stories on this channel. See you next time. Bye-bye.